Three, two, one. We have liftoff. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of the Average J's podcast, where we remind you the pop culture news that happened this past week. As always, I am your host, Jay Justin Ruiz.
And Jay Jeremy Francois. I had a brain fart for a second. Co-host Jay Jeremy
Co-host.
Francois.
Yeah, so we are the co-hosts. We are the Average J's, J and J. We're going to jump into it. We have a pretty long docket. We actually have a couple of quote-unquote world news, like real life stuff that's been going on that we're going to touch on. I know we've been mainly sticking to TV and movies the last like 2-3 episodes, but we're going to break the trend today. Today being May 16th in the year of our Lord 2023. So, continuing the never-ending story, Elon Musk.
What it is.
Elon Musk and Twitter in the news yet again this past week. Elon Musk has tapped a new Twitter CEO who is planning to kind of take the reins of Twitter in the next 2 months. Her name is Linda. I'm going to mess this up. Yaccarino. And that's pretty much it. You know, she's I forgot what other things she did. Oh, she was NBC Universal's former head of advertising and partnership. I knew that she was like in a big company. So she did that, and yeah, now she's looking to take the reins. She's supposedly becoming the CEO in order to help turn around the whole like dip in ad revenue that Twitter's been seeing. Twitter lost kabillions once Elon took took helm, and every single big, advertiser out there has pulled. So we're talking about obviously like the big brands and stuff, but we're also talking about agencies because of how volatile the like atmosphere was on Twitter. Everyone pulled, In the time that Elon took over, I've been at 2 different agencies. No one wanted to touch it with like a 7-foot pole, But like I said, she's on her way. Yaccarino is going to be coming in straight out of NBC Universal and take over as Twitter CEO and hopefully help those ads. But at the same time, like, do we want more ads on Twitter? Like, let us know. Do you love seeing ads on Twitter? Is that like a thing?
I'll be the first to answer. I don't care because I don't really use Twitter like that, which I should be because I'm trying to be the most famous person on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to ask someone who is an avid Twitter user. I wonder if they would like that.
Because like I guess I don't use Twitter enough to know if it's intrusive or not. I'm assuming it hasn't been for a little while, but yeah, I don't know. I wonder if the marketplace was kind of like oversaturated before. Yeah, but who knows, man. So coming off of that, we have some news that is like, when I read this headline, it was a little surprising to me. Like,
Yes.
I was like, why, But go ahead, Jay, you take it away.
Yeah. So this was a couple of days ago. I heard this on the morning news.
Mm-hmm.
Good Morning America, giving them a shout out because they need the ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, they're not as big as us.
they come back and just shut us down. Dang it, Disney. So FDA said Thursday, so this was last week, it had officially eliminated restrictions on donating blood donations by gay and bisexual men. Right? Take a
Like,
moment and think about that. Like, that's so.
like to me, this is in the vein of like, I know we've spoken about it before. Like, I hope that there comes a time where there stop being the first. Like this I feel hits the same nerve because I don't understand why there was restrictions. Like, I understand like the mass hysteria around the AIDS epidemic, and things of that nature, and it being a really big problem in the LGBTQ plus community, but knowing more in the decades since and quote unquote society being more woke and inclusive and all that. I don't even understand why this is a thing. Why there are restrictions?
Why? Yeah, it's more of like, why is it happening now? Which I do agree. Oh wow, I'm sorry. I'm just like a little distracted because my dog scratched me earlier, and now it's like the integrity of my skin has been damaged. Now it's
It's
just
been
getting worse.
compromised.
It has been compromised. Anyway, so going back to what you're saying. So again, to what you said, I understand as well why there were restrictions back
Hmm.
then. This is 40 years old. This restriction, but it's like, why are we now uplifting? And then also, I have another beef with this. This also goes into not just men and gay men and bisexual men, but this should, I don't know if this was a thing for women as well back then. I have to do more research on that. I feel
Hmm.
like this was more stigmatized with men
Hmm.
because men and men shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
Don't take that out of context if you ever cut this out, whoever is listening. But um that was the idea back then. But let me just read this thing to you because this is what, like, so the 40-year-old restriction were to protect blood supply from HIV, which now we know can be contracted by anyone, no matter who you're having sex with. Is not same sex. It's not That's not a same sex disease. So this little excerpt I pulled from here, where I'm getting this from is NPR.org. NPR is a great place to get your non-biased information. Uh, Restrictions on donating blood date back to the early days of the AIDS epidemic and were designed to protect the blood supply from HIV. At first, gay and bisexual men were completely prohibited from donating blood, but over time, the FDA ultimately relaxed the lifetime ban. However, the agency still kept some limits in place, which is wild to me. So they were lifting limits over time, but you realize, like, I would think at most 10, 20 years you should have completely lifted it. You know what I mean? Not 40. That's almost half a century
Yeah.
that
It's
you're.
it's insane.
So now the newly updated guidelines, which this was a shocker to me. The newly updated guidelines are aimed at addressing year-long criticisms that the previous policy was discriminatory and outdated, and posed yet another barrier to the bolstering nation's blood supply. Hold on, I didn't get to the crazy part yet, or did I miss it? Hold up. I actually went back. I should have to go backwards. Okay, so previously, FDA guidelines for donating blood, which were last updated in 2020, stated that men who have sex with men are allowed to donate blood after a 3-month deferral period in which they refrain from having sex with another man. That's crazy. So you're telling me I'm gonna go on a 3-month dry spell? Just how wild is that? You're just telling them you can't have sex for 3 months to donate blood. I'm trying to save a life out here, and you telling me you just
And this is the
denying me
new.
this
This is the
way.
new wording.
No, no,
That
this
was
was
the
back.
old one. Okay.
That was in 2020.
Okay.
But mind you,
That
this
was
is
in
coming up.
2020.
Yes, this is very recent.
Oh my god.
So back in like 2015, you had to wait 3 months before having sex to donate.
Dude, that's so weird because in reality, obviously people with I guess any type of blood diseases or diseases that can be transferred through the blood, um they test that. Like they test your blood. They don't just stick it in someone and say like, "Hey, hope it works out."
Here's an
Like,
Easter egg. You might get a cool one.
yeah.
Bonus. What is it like from like the Airhead candies, like the mystery flavor?
Yeah, it's not like
One of
that.
those.
Yeah, it's not a gotcha game where you stick in a coin and hope it's something good. Like,
Yeah, even for regular checkups at the doctor, they're like, yo, we check for everything. So
yeah.
why isn't, why, so it's not even like, it's like, it's out of fear at this point. It's
Yeah,
like,
and I mean, I guess you don't want to cross contaminate certain things, but at the same time, like every doctor's office, every medical facility, like should be hygienic in a sense where like you're not cross contaminating regardless.
yeah,
It's
this was wild to me.
yeah. Again, I think it strikes the same nerve of like we're still getting first in 2023. We're still having the first whatever accomplish a task, and it's like now we're gonna what have the first. gay person to donate blood unrestricted. Like that's super weird to me.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like I'm sure anyone listening would agree that this is, as Mr. Joe Biden would say, malarkey. Like it's wild. Like it makes it seem like, and again, this goes for not just the LGBT. Sorry, I'm missing LGBTQ plus community, but this makes me think of just any person of color that just seem less than. When you're, if you're not a quote unquote normal white man or woman that is straight, then you're other. You're
Yeah,
less than. You're a monster. You're not even human. And then we're still breaking barriers, which
yeah,
is why it's not even wild. It's just it's crazy to me that we live in a world, and this is not just our country. Our world is pretty poopy, but it's like we are still holding people back. Um,
yeah. All different types. Like we're equal.
yeah,
Like we are equal opportunity. Like objectifying people.
yeah,
Like
it's so crazy, and then it's like there's so many.
it's
How
sad.
many missed opportunities where you could have saved someone else's life because you have these restrictions? There's a lot of people with rare blood diseases, and maybe that gay man or gay woman has the rare blood type to save them, but you're like, oh nope, we gotta wait 3 months. It's like, but anyway, that when I heard that morning, I was just like, this is just, we live in a we live in a society, as the Joker would say.
Yeah, we do. Um, but I mean, now switching over to I think this is a good part of society.
Oh,
Um,
a good part of society that's outside the
yeah, that's
country
not in our country, obviously
because
because
we're too proud.
yeah. But this next
I use
one
the word
is
proud, like Proud Boys. But anyway,
the next one is good. It's surprising in a good way. So go ahead, take it away again, Jay.
so this one, oh, this made me happy. So this is in, if you guys listen, I mean, if you guys follow Now This News, they also have a YouTube channel and you can
Mhm.
follow their stuff. So their headline is Serbian citizens willingly surrender 13,000 plus weapons after two mass shootings. They were distraught when they had two mass shootings. They weren't sending out prayers. Prayers are great, but they weren't sending out prayers. They weren't mediatizing all this. They weren't, oh no, these people, they got shot. But no, they were like, no, give me all your guns or you go to jail. It's that simple. Now, the difference between Serbians and the Serbian country and the United States is we're physically a bigger country, but then the law is embedded in our bill of rights and all that stuff, where
Mhm.
we should be allowed to hold weapons, bear arms rather. That's the correct term. But there's the problem with our country is that it's just easily accessible, which I could imagine across the planet because Serbia is not perfect. They have a lot of illegal weapons that are out there, but they don't have like these crazy mass shootings. And I think this is a good reaction to, or not good. This is a good reaction, but because of how the United States looks, because we have how many mass shootings a year? Countless. Can't even count it. You can't even count it in your fingers.
We have thousands.
Thousands. And so what I want to read is just this nice thing from Now This. Authorities in Serbia collected more than 13,000 weapons following the back-to-back mass shootings last week. The two shootings claimed 17 lives and left 21 people injured. Video footage shows stacks of rifles, automatic weapons, pistols, and hand grenades, which is what is going on.
How do you
Uh,
grab one of those?
yeah, but again, things are different in different places. Um, I'm not saying we can't get that here. I'm not trying to single out the country. Um, that people surrendered to the Serbian government since May 8th. Where are we now? This is May 16th, and I'm sure this is still continuing because this is like a 1 month amnesty. Serbian President Alexander Vucic. Sorry if I mispronounced that for any Serbian listeners out there. Declared a 1 month amnesty of citizens to either surrender their weapons or face jail time. I don't want to go to jail. Look at this face. I can't go to jail. I definitely would give that up. I mean the gun, not me. Officials initiated the weapons crackdown following two devastating events. And these are the two incidents that happened. One, on May 3rd, a 13-year-old boy took his father's gun and opened fire at elementary school. A day later, 20-year-old man started shooting, randomly shooting with an automatic weapon in his car. So I think this is a lesson here that the United States needs to take. Um, these again, I'm not a smart cookie when it comes to the laws and politics and stuff, but I should all this weapon stuff should be in a federal level. If you can correct me on that, maybe you know something on that.
What do you
It
mean?
should, like, controlling how our weapons are distributed legally and get them off the streets illegally should be at a federal level. It shouldn't be left to the states
Well,
because
I
I
mean, like, yeah. So
because
you
that
have
are
to
left.
be. So you have to federally like register. You go into a national registry when you purchase a
Got
gun, and legally you're supposed to go through background checks and waiting periods and stuff like that. But yeah, whenever you buy a gun, it has to be registered. Now, different states have different laws. Like when you come to like open carry, concealed carry, there's some states that are ridiculous in my opinion, like Florida, that just passed and it goes into effect in July,
Oh, yeah.
permitless concealed carry. So now you can hide a gun on yourself without extra training,
That's
without an
what
extra certificate. So things of that nature, and those things scare me because now it's already a thing where I'm in a red state. There's a lot of access to weapons and all, and I have no problem hunting, owning a handgun for protection. I have no problem with any of these things.
you
What
could
I
be in
have
a restaurant.
what I have a problem with is concealed carried without the proper training
Paperwork.
and automatic weapons, or being able to purchase bump stocks and things of that nature that can modify your weapon to become automatic. It's unnecessary. But regardless, coming back, yeah, no, I mean, I'm all for the government being like, hey, we are now banning this thing. The problem with that is because we are so ingrained into this right to bear arms, there'll be a revolt. There'll be an absolute revolution, and people
Oh
will
yeah,
go nuts.
and then that's the thing. I'm not saying that we should do that. Again, in my perfect world, we shouldn't need guns. Like, again, we do need our armies because the world is not perfect. But in my like pseudo perfect world, in our country ourselves, our citizens shouldn't need to carry guns. We shouldn't. But if you're gonna have it, it should be in your house or with the proper training papers. So like you're like trained to, like, you can shoot a can from a mile away. I'm exaggerating, but you should be able to do all those things and not just be what's the word, uh not misappropriating, like misusing or just willy-nilly carrying the gun just to show off. um
Yeah, there shouldn't be any room to mishandle your weapon.
yeah, that was the word I was giving. Yeah, you shouldn't be mishandling or playing with it. And I understand, like, a lot, and I think a majority of our shootings, not and this is separating mass shootings. I'm talking about the shootings in general happen in households. That goes to, um, you know, kids reaching for it and then showing it to their friends, and it's like it makes people think, like, make people say, like, I don't. Again, when people, and not to stay on this because I'm very passionate about it, but like I remember, my cousin became a police officer, and I was trying to be a firefighter. They're like, "Why didn't you do that?" I was like, "I don't want to carry something that could end someone's life, because then I don't want to have a knee jerk reaction, because I know how I play Call of Duty, and I don't need to. I know they're two different things, but it's still that knee jerk reaction. Be it like you see a dog that turns the corner that just might have freaked you out, but it's like, oh no, it's a dog. It's not a freaking demon. Um, it's just one of those things. I don't need to carry that type of thing.
Yeah,
I do want to carry a katana because I think it's cool. I want to
yeah.
dress like a cowboy, but I don't want to carry a weapon. But it's like,
There comes a responsibility with firearms, and I think the responsibility goes both ways. So if you have the ability, it gives you the ability to take a life. It does. Many things have that ability, but very few have the power of a automatic rifle. So, or just a gun in general. So that there's two halves of that responsibility. You have the responsibility to end a life, or like you have that power in you, so you shouldn't be exercising it at a whim. And the other piece is you should be okay with giving that up. If you're not okay giving up that power, there's an issue. Now,
Yeah, that's something to your mental state too. Like
yeah,
and then that goes into that's a whole other discussion, but the
yeah,
mental stability of these people.
yeah. Like there's no way this world is ever going to be perfect, unfortunately. Um, so I understand the need for protection. I understand the sport of hunting. I even understand hunting if you want to live off the land. Like that's 100% you're right. But there's no reason to have these things and then be so attached that you can't look beyond your 20-foot view. Like you should be able to look at the bigger picture and be like, okay, these things are a problem. And the biggest thing is, and it's been going on for decades, but they still go to it, that guns don't kill people, people kill people. But guess what? People with guns are the ones that kill people. So
You said it best.
will murder stop? Probably not. Will they lessen a whole heck of a lot? Yeah. Would your kids be able to go to school with a newfound sense of safety which has been lost within the last 15 to 20 years? Yeah. Why wouldn't you want that for a better generation?
Yep.
But moving off this, I'm happy that Serbia. I mean, listen, you can argue it's government control, whatever you want to say, but I think that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
could always be improved.
Yeah.
It's just how quick their reaction to that. Again, they put, and just to kind of cap it, like something bad happens, you do something about it. Then you can work your way backwards.
Yes.
But lately, the thing that sucks about our country is that we get numb to it. Oh no, another mass shooting. My prayers goes out to them. It's like, to be honest, like f prayers, because that's it. I say it so crass, but at the same time, it's like it's literally not doing anything for the next person. These children, these people, in these safe spaces where you don't think it's ever gonna happen. Supermarkets, just town square. Like it's just one of those things where we don't need that happening all the time.
Yeah, and I think it gets muddied when people are like, "Oh, we send our thoughts and prayers." Like, and I think you said it before too. Like, that's great, but we also need to have action behind that. You know, the big man upstairs, the good Lord, gave you some sort of sense, so let's use it correctly. So, obviously, thoughts and prayers, like, that is a thing, that there is power in that, but we are also given human bodies, forms, and brains to make things better for ourselves and for each other. So, while you are sending these thoughts and prayers, what else can we be doing as a society to push further to make it a better place for your kids, for the next generation? Because if all we ever do is send our thoughts and prayers and we as individuals do not change, if we don't abide by those same teachings that we're, laying out these thoughts and prayers in, then what are you doing? You
Yeah,
know?
we're not telling you to go out there and march and like it's as simple. Look, I don't like to preach this, but it's as simple as voting.
Yeah.
Posting, stop posting. Oh, another mass shooting. Like, yeah, again, my thing about posting is to get like my art stuff out there. I don't post about bad things because it's like everyone's seeing the same thing. Why am I posting to the same echo chamber that's just going to come back to me? Stop posting about it, or maybe do post about it, but like don't overdo it because then maybe it will let me know and I'm like, okay, I'm aware of this thing. But it's like be more active that's not social media based.
I say if you want to post and push in the legal channels correctly, push your congressmen and
Yeah.
women, obviously. Push the elected officials that we have. Change those elected officials so that we have different points of view coming across and we're not sticking with the same imbued, misguided thoughts, for, however long. Like, let's get newer ideas. Let's have other people make change.
And yeah, not just misguided. Also, it's misdirection.
Yeah.
because they're not necessarily, most of these people, and we know that they're not just, they don't actually believe in this. That's the thing. It's a lot of lying and misdirection.
Yeah, well, yeah, this age is a lot of misinformation, unfortunately. But we're going to wrap that there. Be good to each other. Continue to take notes from people doing good and try and mirror that. That's
Hold
our
your ground.
message. So, moving off of that, we're going to get into the lighter side of the news. So, first one up, Disney. Disney always happens to have a couple of things on the docket, correct?
Yeah, that happens. That happens. But is it light though?
I mean, it's not heavy, I don't
Oh
think.
no, no, no. Yeah, it's not heavy like what we were talking about, but what they're going through is not light.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It is kind of a shake up. I guess it's not as big as like the Warner Brothers Discovery one, right? That merger. That's not huge. Like that was huge. It's I
Yeah.
don't think it's to that level. But I digress. What we're talking about is Disney Plus and Hulu are combining into one app. So we're always, talking about Disney Plus acquiring all these things. Disney has had a bundle for a while for Hulu and ESPN Plus, but now it's going to be a it's like it's
Well,
less of one app and it's more so a shared library is probably a better way to call this thing.
so if you think so, you're saying, because I didn't read up on it, I just saw the blurb. Is it still going to be two different apps, but the
Yes.
shared life? That's just going to be weird.
So it's going to be two different apps in a shared library. So Disney Plus will have certain Hulu programming on it. So it
So I
won't
can
have the
act,
full thing.
so I can access like a show like an original like Rami or on Disney Plus, which is weird because Rami
Yeah,
is
I
not
guess.
A Disney family friendly show.
And the other caveat is I think it's only for like people who have both apps. So
So like
that's
for me, I pay for both.
yeah, so if you had any type of bundle that includes Disney and Hulu, you will now have certain Hulu stuff under Disney.
I Okay, so that I don't have. I don't have a bundle. I just have I pay for the apps separately.
It,
They'll give me instructions in some
it's
email.
yeah, it's weird because you are, and then on top of this, they still exist as separate apps.
Mm.
It's just it was a really convoluted thing, and it kind of made waves, especially coming after HBO Max transitioning to just Max and it being combined with Discovery. So I don't know. It's a weird thing.
But
Apparently,
I know the
the bundle's gonna be $10, which is the same. So that's nice. Um, it'll be Disney Plus and Hulu. Um, it's an extension of the company's existing bundles. Oh no, the existing bundles start at $9.99. So we don't know what this next bundle is gonna cost yet. It's
okay.
just it
I
says
wonder.
that the like from a what you call it, Bob Iger in a press release spoke about this, and he apparently the aim is to eliminate confusion and help users better access the content they pay for across apps rather than having to go into each one separately. So you still have to pay for it, but like if you're already on Disney Plus and it's open, you could just go to whatever show rather than Xing out and going to Hulu. I feel like this is solving a really non-existent problem, but what do you
Well,
think?
it solves a problem for them though, not for us. And I think it's just all bells and whistles. But from what I remember, and I'm sure you read this too, maybe a different article, because they lost a lot of subscribers. What was it, 4 million or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a lot. But in order to recoup that, this is me reading between the lines. They're trying to combine Hulu subscribers into their flow. It reminds me of the Dancing with the Stars. Let's get those people to come into Disney Plus. So
And the new season, FYI, is now gonna be like simulcast Disney Plus and
yeah,
ABC.
yeah. So yeah, so if you have Hulu Live, that's like that. That's their win at this point. But again, I have nothing bad about it. But my also the other thing that scares me, I don't have any problem with the combining, but they're removing content from Disney Plus. I'm
Yes.
wondering if they're going to remove stuff from 20th century, because I'm like that I'm not too worried about. I'm talking about the Disney properties. Like if you told me I'm in the middle of watching Gargoyles, which I'll talk about in the wrap, I'm watching Gargoyles, but I'm like in the middle of season 2, and then you tell me let's remove that, I'd be super pissed. That's a Disney property.
Yeah,
That'd be tight.
I don't know. I feel like they would remove like other properties, like not Disney proper, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, I hope that's what they do. Um the other thing that's weird about this is it's Disney Plus's library that's expanding, not Hulu's.
exactly.
So another weird move to keep Disney like exclusively Disney, you know? So I don't know. This is weird. We'll keep an eye on it as we go, but this is a with streaming services combining and dropping, like I don't know. This kind of makes me feel a little uneasy, if I'm being honest.
Well, it's like I said to we've had the discussion before, and I remember the first time I had this conversation was back in college with my professor. It's just streaming is just going to become cable at this point. Now,
Yeah.
the best thing about streaming is that you can share passwords, but with the caveat of Netflix not doing the password share thing, because there's a lot of things I'm not paying for, which I'm like, okay, I'm like I have Peacock because of you, I have uh I have HBO because of another friend. It's just like, okay, at least I have access to those things, so I'm not
Hmm.
paying the same amount of cable
Yeah.
that I was my back in the day people were paying for. But
It's like
whatever.
cable. So like streaming's gonna become cable. Cable's gonna become basic. Like you remember like the basic channels on the
Yeah,
TV,
yeah,
and then radio is just gonna become the free. You remember like
the podcast.
the crank thing.
Yeah,
What is it? It's like a. Is it? It's not a sonogram.
yeah, that's not a
It's
sonogram.
a
No, I know what
gramophone.
you're talking.
Gramophone, right?
Yeah, it's everything is getting pushed because
Yeah.
streaming, and then that can be open another conversation on like the evolution of video. Sorry, uh, the visual medium when it comes to
Yeah.
movies and television, because television has actually boomed because of streaming. But cable is going to be non-existent. Cable will keep making money because of old heads, because that's all they have access to. When I think after us, when we leave the planet, I think it's just going to be all streaming.
Well, this also ties into last week's topic of and the week before of the writer's strike, right?
Yeah,
All the money that's being made through streaming, but it's not going to the proper creative channels, right? So this we're going through kind of like a what's it called, like
metamorph.
growing pains right now before it kind of levels out. Because originally we only had like three giants in the streaming, right? And everyone was okay with that. There was exclusive stuff on each one. It was all fine, hunky dory. But then studios were like, you know what? We're gonna just start keeping our own stuff and making our own platforms. And now
Because I
we have
remember when,
this
yeah, I
this
remember when Nick was
renaissance.
going to do a partnership with Netflix, and that just never happened. And then Paramount happened.
Yep. And
So
remember,
no, yeah,
before Paramount, it was like CBS, whatever.
yeah, because it was a lot of CBS specific stuff. But they're like, that is ours. We should just do our thing. And then it was CBS All Access or something
That's what
like
it
that.
was. Yep. So yeah, like I said, then we're going through this renaissance, and now we have to kind of smooth it out to figure out how it's gonna go.
Or we could just go back
Speaking,
to reading books.
that's dumb. Speaking of something going through a renaissance, Indiana Jones, it just can't stay out of the docket, man. Ever
I feel
since
like this is the third time it's been on it.
I think so, maybe even
Every time
fourth.
I try to go back, just get out, it pulls me back in.
That's what it is, man. Indiana Jones.
Butchered that whole line.
So, sticking with the thread of Disney Plus and the streaming giant, um, the Lucasfilm quadrilogy is heading over to Disney Plus. You'll be able to stream all four simultaneously if you felt like it on all different devices. But finally, we'll have all
That's what we
four.
should consider. I think if you do that, if you're able to look, I technically have I have 5 devices, but I can watch all the movies simultaneously, and then I think that's when I transcend humanity and become Doctor Manhattan. And
Probably.
then once I get the last movie into my genetic code, I will leave this parallel universe and jump to another one.
I could see that happening.
That sounds like a Disney Indiana Jones movie.
So, in order for you guys to transcend this universe and hop into a parallel one, you'll have to wait until May 31st, and that key date, all four Indiana Jones will be available to stream on Disney Plus. Obviously, this comes right before the release of Dial of Destiny, which is going to be the fifth installment, final Harrison Ford appearance. So, look forward to that. Continuing on the Disney Plus Steam train, we have Loki season 2 getting an official release date. So it will premiere on Disney Plus on October 6th, as well as Echo getting a release date. Finally, I feel like this is kind of late now for Echo because it had a lot of like stuff dealing with like Hawkeye and all that, and now it's, I don't know. I feel like it was really late for this to come about, but
Yeah. When they made that announcement too, I was like, okay, cool. But it's just like we didn't get a lot of news. And look, I'm all for diverse actors playing actual
no,
like because she is wait, Echo can only
she's
she can't
deaf.
talk. Oh no, she's deaf.
Oh no,
Yes.
is she deaf or is she mute?
I believe she's mute because she I remember
She
oh
might
no,
be
because I
mute.
think
She's mute.
because when she signs and then I remember from what I remember when someone was signing to her at the same time they would talk as well, so she can read lips.
Yeah,
So I don't
I
know
don't.
if
I
it
don't
was me.
remember if she's, yeah, mute
Either
or
or, it's
deaf.
either deaf or mute. But I'm all for it. But she's an actress I've not seen in the spotlight before, and then
Yeah.
even after that. So I don't know. It's like she's been doing stuff, or they've been really hammering in this show, and trying to do like a crossover with Daredevil because Daredevil's being in the works or is
Mm-hmm.
in the works. So uh, I'm cool with it. I'm gonna watch it. I want to see what the connectivity is to MCU or to the street heroes. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And Wilson Fisk most likely will be coming back. So
Yeah. Well, Wilson Fisk is definitely coming back in Daredevil,
Daredevil.
so we'll see how he plays into Echo as well. But so like I said, Loki's gonna be October 6th. Echo will be November 29th. But the difference being is Echo will drop all episodes on that day.
I
So they're
think they should.
I think that, yeah, I think they're right to do so because I think they waited too long for this to come out, and it doesn't have the same hype that it did when Hawkeye was fresh. But this is going to be a connecting piece to Daredevil, so I think for everyone to just be able to slam it in 2 days, 3 days is good because then it builds hype for Daredevil and possibly for Echo the character itself, and then maybe there'll be more hype for a second season if that comes about, or just to see her return in other properties.
Facts.
So no more Disney, I don't think. Right?
That's it.
Who knows? Maybe. But next on the docket, we have some action movie news. So Fast X has been confirmed by Vin Diesel.
Your Groot character.
Fast X will be the first of a trilogy.
No one asked for that though.
Like, and I really want to know if it's gonna be like X Part One, Part Two, Part Three, or if it's gonna be
If
like X11 and then 12, which would be a
I,
weird one
I
to end
stopped,
on.
yeah, I stopped caring about the Fast franchise a long, long time ago. Um, and the only thing I'm highly, highly expecting and would love is that they call the third movie Triple X. If you don't call it that, it's
If
an
they
MMO.
do X, double X, and then triple X, not only would that be a second movie franchise that Vin Diesel has portrayed a character that is triple X, related to the triple X number, but like it would be so funny that
It
it
would
would
be
just
funny,
be
but again,
X double X triple
I will
X.
say this here first. If they do it, I will rewatch the entire franchise and then commit to loving it as much as I love One Piece. If you don't do it, it's a MMO. Cause come on, it's right there. I don't care about rights. Pay the rights and call it Triple X. The Triple X Fast Saga, the
Dude,
final triple.
dude, that would be so funny. I guess I would have to watch it all also. Like if the last movie they announced, if they did X, then double X, and then triple X, I would have to. I would have to. And
And then,
if they didn't have Ice Cube like cameo somehow, like in
yeah,
that
because
movie,
You got Brie Larson into the franchise. You got Brie
yeah,
Larson in there. You gotta have Ice Cube. And then if and this is me reaching, but tell me this connects to the Triple X universe, and I'm happy with it.
no,
And I've never really seen any of the Triple X movies, so this would be great.
I mean
I can jump on that.
it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Like they could just say like
The
in
MCU can
Dom's
do it. They can
absence,
do
he
it too.
became a government agent named um,
I
Xander
forget.
Cage. I think was his
Yeah.
name, something like that. Who knows? Oh my god, that would be hysterical. But in more uplifting news related to the Fast franchise, Meadow Walker, the daughter of late Paul Walker, is actually making a cameo appearance in Fast X. She said that she was a legacy Fast and Furious cast member. She was born into the Fast family. She feels very honored to be able to pay tribute to her father and his legacy here, and it's something that she can share with him forever, that they were both a part of this movie franchise. So I think that's very sweet that they made that happen. And I'm sure Vin Diesel's like, I don't know, an uncle to her or something because of how close him and Paul Walker were. So it's pretty cool that this is happening.
Aren't they? Well, obviously they're not related by blood, but aren't? Isn't he like a godfather or something? Or am I'm
I
making
have
that up?
no idea. That might just be from the Fast and
That's,
Furious
okay.
movies.
That's just probably yeah. That's probably what it is. It's like the Mandela effect right now. So
Yeah.
that's what's happening. Yeah,
So
that's how long this franchise been out. It shouldn't be out this long. But
so
they're like, Marvel's doing it. Let's keep going.
it's just a fun nod, and it's cool. The first Fast movie also came out when she turned 1, so like it's nice. She's grown up with it and now she gets to be a part of it. So I thought that was really cool. But moving on and speaking about another franchise that just won't stop, its finale is a two-parter. Mission Impossible, the latest entry in the series. What's it called? Mission Impossible. What is it?
I don't remember.
Is
And
I whenever I think of Mission Impossible, I think of Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and I know,
that was the fifth one.
yeah, I know that it's not like anywhere near this one. Like
Yeah, because
we're
there's
on like
there.
9, right?
Yeah, because there was Ghost Protocol, and then there was, I believe, Rogue Nation. I probably have it wrong.
This one is Dead Reckoning. That's what it is.
What was the one before it? Because I think I missed that one.
Fallout. So we had Fallout in 2018, Rogue Nation in 2015, Ghost Protocol in 2011,
Got it.
and then the first 3 in 96, 2000, and
Oh, so then
2006.
I lied. Ghost Protocol is
4.
four. So it was Rogue Nation, then was five. Fallout is the one with my man Soups, the Cavill
Yeah.
of Henry,
Yeah. Yeah.
where where he cocks his biceps, and
Lord Cavill.
that's such a perfect trailer.
Yes.
Like it's such a perfect trailer. Talk about great trailers out there. That's up there with top 10 for me.
You know what? I would concur because it's pretty badass. But yeah, so Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 trailer drops tomorrow, May 17th. So mark your calendars. Get all your notifications from the YouTubes because everyone knows that's where trailers hit first. So if you're into the action movie stuff, that's where you're going to get it first. Drops
Yeah.
tomorrow. Beyond that, um, talking about I guess this is just another franchise that has lasted before us. It's been like close to 40 years, I guess. If we're talking about like if we're talking about
We're talking about
manga,
Dragon Ball.
well, yeah,
Oh,
Dragon Ball, right? First we have the Dragon Ball manga, so we're talking. It's got to be like 40 years.
I
So
got you right now. I do.
Dragon
Say your
Ball
word.
manga to Dragon Ball anime, then to Dragon Ball Z, GT, now Super, everything in between. But anyway, a lost episode of Dragon Ball Z has been finally found. So
1984.
1984 is when it started. Yeah, so we're about to hit 40 years.
I'll tell you. Yep.
In one next year, it'll be 40 years,
Wow.
dude. So apparently, this was like I just need to talk about this. So
Yeah. Do your thing. Do your thing.
after 23 years, internet archivists have found the lost episode of JBVO featuring a segment of Dragon Ball Z. JBVO was a Johnny Bravo spin off. The episode only aired once. And JBVO was kind of like a Mystery Science 3000 type of deal. So he would like do comments on whatever media was playing. This segment was only in this this segment of Dragon Ball Z was only in this episode, and after 23 years, they finally found it, due to like internet archivists and this one person in particular, YouTuber L Sonic Q.
That was
So the
supersonic too.
L Supersonic Q, yeah. So again, episode only only aired one time. It aired. Yeah, so
Uh,
yeah, that was it. It aired in May 7th, 2000,
yeah.
and it shows Goku killing Frieza. This is a such a ridiculous thing. Like, why is this locked behind the doors of Big Johnny Bravo? Like, how is this ever a thing? And for it to be lost for 23 years.
You know what? Forget. Okay, don't forget it. This is a great topic, but what I loved about this topic is that you said internet archivist. This made me think of like Ready Player One, where we live in this world where everything is archived. Like if
Yeah.
we ever, whenever that world comes to fruition, people are gonna be finding other things such as this. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, like. But then, like, I help me understand this. I'm gonna just read it to you. So in this particular episode, a caller named Jennifer requests that Johnny Bravo airs an episode of DBZ where
Mm-hmm.
Goku kills Frieza. The problem was GBVO had a rule it couldn't air half-hour shows despite Dragon Ball Z airing on a Toonami block. So he just fast forwards 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forwards the episode for 30 seconds. Got it. Providing only expositional. Okay. So this is, yeah, I just needed to hear it just so I understand what was going on. So
It's
that's great.
literally half the screen is Dragon Ball Z, the other half
Yeah,
is
I'm
Johnny
looking at
Bravo,
that.
and he's literally just talking like smack about whatever's happening on the screen. That's it.
After our recording, I'm gonna go find this so I can watch it.
Dude, it's wild that this one piece of Dragon Ball Z history has been
But
locked
then,
behind Johnny Bravo. It to me this is the same, and like I guess the late 90s early 2000s was such a wild west of content because this is the same thing with like the very first Digimon movie in the
yeah,
US. It's locked
yeah,
behind an opening from Angela Anaconda of Nickelodeon. It was a really dumb show that Nickelodeon made with a really weird art style, and she introduces the character of Angela Anaconda, introduces the Digimon movie. You
wow,
cannot get that movie without that opening. It is
oh wow.
a part of the movie. And then on top of that, that just leads into a whole other thing where the Digimon movie was really like, I think
A
two or
mess. It was
three.
like it was two movies.
Yeah, it's smashed
Two
together.
different movies that were smashed together. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's that same vein of like, why do we have these Western shows and like characters? I guess it was to introduce it to the kids, but
I, also,
it
if you
it
think
blows
about
my
it,
mind that they don't exist anywhere else. Like
it's
without
if you think
this,
about it, it goes into the rights as well because Johnny Bravo is a Western property where Dragon Ball Z is a Toei animation, is Japanese. I mean, in Japan. So there has to be some sort of legality in there. I'm assuming again, I'm not the smarty pants when it comes to that, but there has to be some sort of legality. And then it's just like, where would they contain this thing? Because it's like I can't go on HBO Max and go through Johnny Bravo. This is like something that was like a special, again, Wild Wild West of cartoon segments. Kind
but
of
it's
reminds me of those when they did those little music videos in between in the commercials in
yeah,
Cartoon Network, or when Cartoon Network hijacked Nickelodeon,
yeah,
like those cool things.
the
Obviously, you can find them on YouTube, but it's like it's not archived anywhere where you can be like, I can just go watch it just for the. Besides YouTube, I can't just go to like Nick Paramount and
yeah.
find that. You know,
No, you're right. I just feel like the all these things should be on YouTube, right? Like I just feel like that it should be there. You should be able to find this stuff
I should
because
be able to search it up on YouTube.
yeah, because to me in my head, the whoever was in the studio while JBVO was going on, it finished and they were like, "All right." And they took the tape out of the the big 70 monitor screen.
Yeah,
They
right.
took the tape out and just chucked it behind them, never to be seen again for 30 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so funny how we're still finding stuff like this, and like seeing the image of Johnny Bravo with the landline, it like scratches something in my subconscious, but I can't remember the show for the life of me.
No, same. It does. Again, for someone like myself that didn't really have cable, it does remind me of a time. I
Yeah.
just it's just taking me back to other things that I remember
Mhm.
on TV because like it was like think of it as like the interactiveness of cable TV. That's the cool part, but
Yes.
kids these days will never know.
Speaking about being old and young at the same time, the Super Smash Brothers, God,
Hmm?
Super Mario Brothers movie
Trying to play.
is available to stream as of today, I believe. Right?
Donde.
It is on Amazon Prime, and you could rent or buy it. You can
Oh,
rent
so
it
it's
for
not free.
$25, or you could buy it for $30. But to me, this is kind of crazy because I think you can still see this in theaters. I don't know if it's come out of like completely yet.
Oh wait, I'm here thinking like this is the old school cartoon. But yes, I
No,
did see that.
the
I saw that
movie.
blurb. Yeah, there was another article speaking of this. Not speaking of this, connecting to this current topic that movie releases to straight to home video is getting shorter and shorter. It's
Yeah, man.
something I noticed back in college,
Hmm.
and then because of the pandemic, it kind of hastened that as well. It's just speedy. It's just like, hey, remember this movie? Go see it. I don't know why that is. I think it's just for the companies to get their money back, and that's just me just coming up with that conclusion. It's like we need to recoup. We siphoned the theaters. Now we just gotta. We spent our time here. Now let's get this money rolling.
I guess. I mean, something like Super Mario Brothers. I mean, it broke the $1 billion mark, so I don't think they're yearning to recoup their losses. So
That yeah,
I feel like maybe this is just they were like, hey, let's give it to them to own because they liked it so
and
much.
facts. And then with the Twitter, I guess leak, right? Twitter leak.
Yeah.
I think that's another reason they're trying to get that too, because it's like we need to give it to them digitally so they don't go
Hmm.
looking for it elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's just again, that's just my guess.
No, that makes sense too. And apparently, we don't know when it's actually going to be able to stream for free just yet. But given that it is a Universal film, we can almost assume that it'll come to Peacock at some point. Once it does, I'm gonna watch it like every night before I go to bed. But
Yeah, just have it playing in the background until
yeah,
you can recite every word.
yeah. But yeah, it's I found it crazy. I mean, I also saw a headline where Dungeons and Dragons, came out around the same time. It is also available for streaming. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
that came
it's
out.
just wild to me. I feel like I just saw this movie and now it's available to purchase. Yeah. So with that, that's gonna be our last TV movie segment. I mean, this is kind of like a nice little bridge into video game world. And speaking of video games, the first thing that we have to talk about. Did you see this music video, Jay?
No, I did not. I saw a thumbnail.
Okay, so the music video I'm talking about is Tenacious D's video game. Like literally, the song's called Video Games. It's short. I want to say maybe it's 2 minutes. But the music video is nothing short of pure art. Like the
Okay.
entire thing is like CGI animated. So Jack Black and oh my god, the bald fat guy, the other part of Tenacious D,
Yeah, that guy.
him. Uh, they're both like CGI'd little like caricatures of themselves, and the whole premise of the song is Jack Black says that he doesn't have time to play video games too much.
Kyle Gass.
Kyle Gass, that's him. He says that he doesn't play a lot of video games, and then he proceeds to say all the video games that he plays, and he doesn't see them as video games, he sees them as art. So throughout this video, he turns into a myriad
A
of
plethora.
different video game characters. So we see an appearance from like he's Kratos from God of War. He turns into Mario. He turns into Sonic in the classic like Sega 3D polygon looking way. He turns into Lara
Yeah.
Croft. He turns into um,
Oh,
there's
I
a
see a
point.
Fallout. There's a
Oh
Fallout
yeah,
reference.
Fallout, Mega Man. There's a point where he's just naming characters, and he's just like it's going by super quick. It's like 2 frames of him as like all these different characters. Um, it's super fun to watch, and it's like such a great time, and it's just expressing the love for video games, and just seeing fat cartoony Jack Black as all these different characters is absolutely
Yeah.
hysterical.
It's like a mesh. If you ever watched or read the books of the Time Warp Trio, and it reminds me of the show. Have you ever read that, the Time Warp Trio? It's just a franchise book where it's just like three kids that travel through like time and just visit like famous people throughout time, like Blackbeard from the pirate era or Cleopatra from the
This
Egyptian
sounds
era.
familiar.
Yeah,
So
if you look it
maybe,
up,
yeah.
you'll see it looks just kind of like that with the combination of that. What is that show back in the day where like there was these wrestle? It was a wrestling show,
Oh,
but it was
I've definitely
animated.
seen Time Warp Trio. It was a show too.
Oh, it was. I thought it was
Yeah,
like just a.
I definitely watched this show. Yeah. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
What was that show where they took famous people and they just wrestled each other?
Oh, Celebrity
It,
Deathmatch.
yeah, thank you. It
The
reminds me of that.
claymation. Yeah.
Yes, and claymation. It reminds me of that with Time War Trio. Just watching this whole thing, it was just very gory too. It's like something
Oh,
from
it's
Robot Chicken.
incredibly Yeah,
Dude
it's
gets
very
shot
Robot
with
Chicken.
a
Yep.
banjo, and then he just has a hole. I'm like, oh my
Yep.
god,
Oh yeah, he
that's
talks
funny.
about Red Dead Redemption when he's Mario and he steps on the Koopa,
The
who's Kyle
yeah,
Gass. He just crushes him, and you see like eyeballs and guts and stuff. It's
yeah.
hysterical, very funny music video, and a great way to homage to video games of past and present. Talking about present video games, Overwatch 2, the follow up to the multi-billion-dollar award-winning Overwatch, is in a little bit of hot water right now.
How
Um,
hot?
it's pretty hot.
Like Celsius, Fahrenheit? Give me the deets.
I feel like it's Celsius. People are pretty
Ooh,
upset. So
that is
Overwatch 2 was supposed to they like the heads of what's the studio?
the upper
Blizzard.
echelons of
The
the studio.
heads of
Yes.
Blizzard said that they were gonna provide a PVE experience, like a PVE mode. Right now, it's a team based combat, so I don't remember how many people are on each team. I think it's like 4v4 or something like that. But PVE meaning player versus everyone. So you're kind of like it's a free for all. You're against everyone, right? It's very reminiscent of like I don't know, like Call of Duty or Fortnite in the battle royale modes. Just it's not 100-person lobby. It's just whatever the match entails, however many people. But they are scrapping it completely. So this is something that they had promised fans for years.
Mm.
They're completely redoing their content roadmap. So that got scrapped. This also comes right after they spoke about Overwatch 2 was supposed to have this like massive story mode. Think of it kind of like a when Smash Brothers did the what was it, the Subspace Emissary in Brawl, where like it showed everyone coming together. It was supposed to have this massive story mode because that's what was lacking from original Overwatch. We had the character intros and stuff, and those were all very well animated, and they had their own stories. And they even some of them got like little shorts as the time went by, but it didn't have a story mode proper. Overwatch 2 was supposed to have this massive sprawling story mode, and Blizzard pared that back by a lot. And we're talking like hours. They pared it back. So while they did say it was a difficult choice, they are hoping that they can land it at some point in the future. But as of right now, it is completely scrapped. And it sucks because another reason why it sucks is because this was shown off in 2019.
That's upsetting. I know how
And
it feels to wait for a game for like a year, and or like it's gonna come out and they delay it like a year. I know how upsetting that is, but 2019, ugh, that is Celsius degrees indeed.
yeah, man, it sucks. Like apparently they're still running like a PvE event. I guess within their whatever season they're on.
That sounds like beta.
Yeah, like they'll run like little events within whatever modes, but it's not the actual game mode like proper that would stick around and you can do it however many times you want. So thoughts and prayers go out to the Overwatch fans. There's not much we can do here. But
Speaking of thoughts and prayers,
talking about a organization that gives thoughts, prayers, and solutions, we're gonna go over to Jay for a Red Cross story that's hitting our video games docket. Whatever could it be?
what it could be, it's about the Red Cross, the cross that is red. Um, so the Red Cross is asking players to stop committing war crimes in video games. I chuckled when I read this the first time, and I'm chuckling again for like the umpteenth time. So I had thoughts, and I was like, let me just do a deep dive real quick. So what do they say here? So the I got this information because it came up not on my it came up on my feed, but I don't follow this page. It's called Game Mess. It's spelled GAM, or is it GA memes? I think that's what it's. I guess that's what it's called. Um, so the Red Cross has partnered up with a bunch of Twitch streamers to encourage gamers to not commit war crimes in popular shooting games. Hopes that the events play by the rules, that's what it's called, will educate players on the statutes of actual war. And I'm like,
What does that mean though? Like, how do you play these games without shooting someone?
no, no, no. Here we go. So these are the rules. So these are the rules. So it could be, I think it's like Minecraft and other stuff, like those type
Mm-hmm.
of like PC games. So um, here are the four rules that was on here. No thirsting, meaning don't shoot downed or unresponsive enemies. Two, no targeting non-violent NPCs. Three, no targeting civilians' buildings. Four, use medkits on everyone. So, I can't find it, but I remember reading how
Boring.
some of these Twitch streamers, when they got a bunch of people, and they were the words that the article used. I forget. Oh, it's Kotaku. Um, they struggled. They tried to do this. They attempted, but it was like the struggling aspect because we're so used to just playing the game. And the reason I laugh in the face of this event, again, I know it comes from a good place. The intention was there. It's just I just want to play my game. Like I don't need to understand the the statutes of war when I'm not. I don't want to say nowhere near it because that sounds very insensitive. But I mean, I don't think I'll ever be in a place like that unless I am like uh, trying to be a politician and trying to solve world issues and stuff like that. And then, man, you know what? I will hop into this.
And I mean,
But
like, God willing, you'll have training like before getting into something like this where they will
yeah,
go over those rules. Like,
yeah, I'm just wondering, like, it's funny because I laugh because I saw a comment that was like, and it's so messed up that this person said it, but like, look, you can only laugh at this. He's like, no, I rather keep my, I don't know Minecraft terms, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you can use certain NPCs as slaves to build things
yes.
or something. Yeah, so I was like, well, damn. But I laughed because it's. I know it's coming from a jokey place, but it was just
Hmm.
like people just. What I got from this, people just want to play the game. I don't want to join unless you're curious. By all for it. I'm not saying they shouldn't do this. I just like if I saw it, I'm like, I'm not gonna do it.
I
But
think this would be. I think their marketing needs to be better. I think this would be really fun to do in games like Call of Duty and Fortnite. But this is like extra hard survival mode. Like,
like
imagine
you
having.
mean like Call of Duty does like a survival like change make another game mode or
Yeah, like imagine
have the
if.
Red Cross be like part of that marketing?
Yeah, have the Red Cross sponsor a game type or mode for a season, and it's like statutes of war. So like you literally you cannot do certain things. So like you
I like
can't
that.
execute a downed person, meaning that person might come back way easier than in like a regular game. They could come back and finish you off like in a game. So you have to
Yeah,
work within these confines of humanity, right?
yeah. And I wonder if because it's supposed to be more realistic in a sense when it comes to the rules. I wonder how you win a game. Do you lose points if you do something wrong? Like, oh, you shot a down person, you lost his points. Now it's like now the other team
Oh
is
yeah.
catching up. So there's consequences. You have to build these
Yeah.
consequences in there. So it's like okay, it trains you to like okay, I can't be just doing these things.
So your
That
goal
is a
is
good
to
idea.
like your goal would be to like to take over a it would have to be goal oriented because it couldn't be a battle royale where like you have to kill everyone because
Yeah,
it
you're
just
looking,
it
but you
would
know what
never
works
end.
best? It would work best with games like Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, I was just
That's
gonna say that it probably would
those are
be for like a Rainbow
you
Six to
can't
like
you
take
can't
over
see
a
this
spot.
way. Yeah, like you can't just willy nilly go in there. Like if you shoot your and it's like friendly fire is a thing.
Hmm.
Like it has to be a thing. It's like you
It
shot
would
your
be
friend.
it. I would play that. That sounds
See,
interesting. Imagine
that I would play.
like you would have to go in there and you'd have to like zip tie people and stuff. Like your whole objective is not to kill but to subdue. That's realistic. I mean, that is a type of like military operation that they run.
I think, and the games would be slower, and like it has to be more thought put into it. Like you can't go in guns blazing because it's like
That's it. You'll lose.
yeah, you will lose that game even though you technically were winning. That's like, oh, now you would be retraining the player. Like, no, it's
Hmm.
not all about just getting the points and getting the kills. So it doesn't matter about KD at this point. Where this is what players always talk about. What's your KD? What's your KD? It's like, no, no. What's your this score or whatever?
Yeah,
That
it's
to me,
like it would really talk to your effectiveness at strategy. So you'd have to communicate with your team really well. It's a team based thing.
you
I
have to have
don't
a mic.
I don't know if you'd be able to do it on a solo. I'm sure you could, but like, yeah, you'd have to be really smart and tactical. You'd have to go in quiet. Like, there's a lot of things that you would have to really stretch those like strategic muscles, the same way like chess is or something like that, just in a whole different like playing field. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would play that.
So yeah, what we're describing now seems more interesting. That also makes me think of that realistic VR game that came out that was announced or shown like a couple weeks ago. It was just like it was like you played as a cop, but they had like the views from the body cam, so it looks very realistic. Did you
Oh
see that?
yeah, yeah, I
It
did
makes
see
me think
that.
of that too. Is like if they ever did a VR game and then Red Cross is sponsoring that, it's like one of those things where it's like, do you go in guns blazing? And this would work in the United States too. It's like, how do you train police officers how to not like again, I'm getting a little bit too far here, but it's like it's something to talk about. Like when you see a black person, do you like you know what I mean? So it's like, but come on, like am I going in the
You're
right
not,
place
you
here?
know, you're not wrong. It's it's
Yeah,
it's it's kind of it's trending to a place of like think before you act.
exactly.
It's forcing, like in video games you're just acting. It's
Yeah,
muscle memory. I'm a big Fortnite person. When you see someone, it's click click boom. There's no second thought because you can't
yeah,
have a second thought because then you
yeah,
lose. So if
yeah,
you incentivize completing your objective in the correct way, then it becomes a more intellectual, harder thing where it becomes sort of like a From Software game where it's like, okay, the the prestige of beating those games and that stuff is rising to the challenge. Like
yeah,
not losing your head and going gun blazing because that won't ever work. It is rising to the challenge and outthinking your opponent, right?
yeah.
And I
No,
mean, the more we
no,
talk
yeah,
about
it's
this,
facts.
Red Cross hit us up. We could pitch some
Yeah,
ideas.
we'll, bro,
There should be
we'll
there should be
do
a
it.
system for like when one of your players, like one of your teammates, wants to go rogue and stuff. You can subdue them. You can zip tie them and put them to the
Oh
side.
yeah, 100%.
But in doing that, you now have less people on your team, so like it's harder for you to, like we're talking about
Yeah,
real things. Like you're not allowed to shoot innocent civilians, but what if you let those civilians go and they rat on you to the opposing force and they tell them your
yeah.
location? Like there needs to be a give and take in these consequences. But Red
Yeah,
Cross hit us up.
and with this conversation happening, and this kind of we're at the nugget of this idea. This can work in evolutionizing games with like these. Because again, to me, Siege is a good game in
Hmm.
itself right now. I'm not good at that game because I don't have that type of mentality to do that strategic gaming. Call of Duty is boring to me ever since Call of Duty. Like I'm talking about classic Modern Warfare 2. Like that was my last. Like I was like.
Yeah.
Then I also sucked at the game, so I was like, I
Not
don't
this
think this is
Modern
good.
Warfare 2, which is a
Yeah,
remake
yeah,
rehashing.
which supposedly was great. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, that gets me back to like what games can do for society because a lot for the longest time, games was always the bad guy or the scapegoat for most of the United States problems.
Yeah.
But to be honest, gaming's actually help a lot of people. So I wonder if going back to the police officer stuff, like how does it reinforce how they do things? And forget like the black people thing or person of color thing. It could just also mean like, hey, what do you do in this scenario? Do you
Yeah.
use your gun? Use your gun. No, you're wrong. You should be what? Calling this professional team to subdue this person or meaning like someone to talk them down a bit
Mm.
or using a taser to a certain voltage where you're not voltage, shocking them to death. Like there are these little things that's like, and then because you're failing these tests, you can't go out on the field. You know what I mean? But that like just this discussion right now makes me think of what games can do for society and
Yeah.
for our armies and stuff like which are I'm not saying our army is not perfect. I don't know much of how our armies, our navies, our marines do their trainings, but it's
Well, I
already in
mean,
a sense in there with when it comes to like drone strikes. People are sitting in Texas or wherever they are, droning place, dropping bombs half across half a
yeah,
half a way
more
across
than
the world.
ever, you got like virtual reality is implemented in different fields, right? So, I mean, back in the day, people used to say that video games help with hand-eye coordination, which is very
Oh,
true. There's a lot of studies, but you also have things of like I've read articles where race car drivers will play racing simulators to kind of get them in a headspace. Guitar players from different bands used to say that they would play Guitar Hero before to loosen up their fingers. You know, it's certain things to just to get your brain into the function. I know um, our military branches use like VR trainings and stuff like that. I mean, like NASA uses it. Like, there's so many implications for it, and there's even a bunch for like the medical field. A lot of surgeons, they I've read articles where surgeons play video games to help with their concentration and to help with their like finger movements and stuff. So there's there are things that can help. Maybe it's not the traditional video game experience, but maybe
Yeah.
if we make traditional video game experiences make people think a certain way or help them, think first before acting, it'll have this trickle effect, this
Yeah.
domino effect where
Yeah.
it'll
It
help more
should.
than hurt.
Yeah, I would just hope it aims more at like, we see it with doctors, we see we're hoping more of the AR stuff with firefighters, which is dope, which I've seen commercials for, which is not it's not a real thing, but it's like something that they're working towards. Same
Yeah.
thing with police officers. Right now, police officers are across the country, specifically our country, they're not in a good light right now for a long, very very long time. Um, I think this would be a good thing for them,
Yeah.
uh, to just get them on the good side of the citizens.
Yeah. Definitely always down for more training for everyone that helps citizens, right? Whether
Yeah.
it be doctors or our police force, but more training is never a bad thing. So, with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the dockets and we're going to dive into the weekly wrap. So, Jay, what have you been watching, reading, or playing?
Um, what did I watch recently? That wasn't we saw. I was gonna say Game of Thrones. Um, been watching Gargoyles.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's not the way I remembered. It's so good. I remember again. I was watching it as a kid, and I just remember, oh, Gargoyles is cool because it came on the same block with like Batman, animated series, and
Mm-hmm.
Superman. Um, but it was just so good. I'm watching that like that's part of my nightly block. Sometimes it's not part of my Toonami block. It's more of like when I'm in bed and I know I'm like getting up late for work tomorrow, the next
Mm-hmm.
day. I will watch like an episode or two.
Okay.
Um, but I gotta throw back my Men in Black too because I missed that. And Jackie Chan Adventures. Um, when it comes to my Toonami block, I'm watching Outlaw Star still.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's the other one? Samurai Jack. Got to do it. There was one other one that I was just like I wanted to talk about. Ooh, speaking of Samurai Jack, so I watched the first episode of Gendy Tartakovsky's new show called Unicorn,
Oh, Unicorn Heroes or whatever.
Heroes Eternal, something like that.
Yeah.
The first episode was just so weird. I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like
It looks
when I
very weird.
it looks very weird. I He posted too because it came up on my explore page, and I'm like, wait, it's weird. I've never followed him before, so I started following him,
Mm.
and he posted a thing of this has been 20 years in the making, dude. We were 10 years old. He's been trying to make this for 20 years,
Wow, that's intense.
and mind you, he just not just, but a couple years ago, maybe 2 3 years ago, he released Primal, which I'm still watching. I'm
Yeah.
slowly watching because I didn't finish season 3, but he released Primal. So this, it's just weird. So just from what I got from it, from the first episode, it seems like these eternal warriors are called out throughout time.
Mm-hmm.
So like the first episode took place, like the first scene took place in Egypt, like ancient Egypt, and then the next, like the crux of the first episode is in London. But it's weird. London looks very steampunky.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like in the 1800s, but with steampunk. Like it's very. It's not even just industrial, like the Industrial Revolution. It's just the best. It's like very futuristic, but in a steampunk sense. It's just
Is
looks
it like Bioshock Infinite kind of?
and us. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's this robot. If you've seen the post, and for those, I'll post that on our episode. I'll post the link up. The robot carries this seal with a unicorn figure, and he goes throughout time. So let's say you're one of the characters who is like a monk, and he goes through, let's say maybe before the 13 colonies were set up. I forget
Mm-hmm.
what era that is, but the robot goes through that time, and then he comes to you. You're a Native American, living their normal life, but he puts the soul of that being into you. So then you transform into that character who is a monk, who is can do a lot of cool power. It's hard to explain, and when it's hard to explain, it has my attention. So that means I kind of know what's going on. I can't really explain it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really cool. So in this episode, in the first episode, the robot goes into London, and they kind of set up these two characters that are about to get married, and they're in this church. Everyone's there. The robot comes in. The groomsmen, all the men in the both sides of the family try to jump this robot, but the robot just goes, "Nope, get off me!" Shoots this beam. The seal opens up, shoots the beam at the bride, and the bride is like gone. She's not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But like the body's still there, but the soul takes over.
Yeah,
It's kind of like taking what's the word? Not
it's like a
not.
body
It's kind of
snatcher or
like it's
something.
like a possession kind. Yeah, but the character kind of changes some of their looks. So like the bride had like red brown hair. So when she transforms, her gown goes black, because she is actually a character that has a black gown and black hair. So her hair
Mm-hmm.
turns black. It's like one of those things, but she kind of looks like the original being. And she goes, "I'm not this person." I think it was like L or something.
Mm-hmm.
But when she leaves and she flies, she just realizes, she's like, "Oh crap, I'm flying!" And she falls. Robot catches her, and now she's like, she doesn't know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like there was an issue with that transformation, probably because of love. There was like the
Like
complete
maybe the original person is like fighting back a little bit.
it's like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's very weird, and it has the primal and Samurai Jack esque of it. Again, it's
Mm-hmm.
Gendy Tartakovsky, so it's like these quiet moments. Like the last 5 minutes is very quiet, and I'm like, no information was just. It's just you see them. So the robot transforms. She rides him like across the city, and then stops at a stoplight, looks at a police officer. Police officer like opens one eye, and then she just looks with her eye, and
Mm-hmm.
it just comes back, and they just drive off, and that was the end of it. I was like, it's just such a long, unnecessary scene, but it's a very Gendy type of show.
And you know what?
Um,
I applaud that because there's so many shows. Forget it, like Western shows. There's never freaking silence in like a
exactly,
cartoon or
and that's
something.
why we love Samurai Jack and oh, the 2D Clone Wars.
Yeah. And it's something where like anime is some of them they'd have these silent moments and then when it gets dubbed into English, they're continuously talking. But I almost
Well,
crave
back
those.
then that was more of a
Yeah.
thing, not
Not really
nowadays.
now. No, no, no. But it's like I crave those moments of silence for like exposition, right? The only one that I can think of that, from our childhood that did it and like it was like a half step really because it still was western and they still didn't have a lot of moments of quiet was Avatar Last Airbender. I think that series had
Yeah,
some moments where it was very reflective and quiet, and even when the characters continued talking it was very like very very quiet moments and
and
like
they had
just
episodes like that, like especially
meditative pretty much.
yeah, especially episodes that were focused on specific characters like Zuko or Katara.
Yeah.
They had their moments. Even in some of Legend of Korra, but then again, you're trying to keep people's attention with a new avatar. But yeah, it's such a good show. I mean, it was a good episode that has my attention. Like after this, I might want to just watch another episode. So there's 3 episodes out right now. So that's part of my block. I took a pause on Ranking of Kings because I was like, let me just go finish these other shows.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just today, because season 2 has been out for so long, I just was like, let me just pop this in, watch the first episode of Bel Air season 2, and I was like,
Mm,
man, this is gonna get me going. Because I remember when I watched the first season, I remember I was just like trucking along. I was like, I actually watched it all,
yeah.
and I didn't wait weekly because I guess it stacked up, and I just watched it. This one, everything is out, so I'm gonna give it a. I'm
I
gonna
didn't even
watch it
know
later.
season 2 was out yet for Bel
Yeah,
Air.
it's been out. It's been out for a long time, and I knew it was there. I just haven't
That's
got
so
to it.
weird. I didn't even know
Their
that.
marketing is a little weird, but then
Yeah.
again, you have Peacock. I'm sure I don't know why I never showed up on yours, unless you just never cared to or haven't been on it when it was marketing for it. Maybe even for me, I wasn't like on
Maybe I
Peacock.
did and I just missed it. Like I just wasn't paying attention, you know?
Yeah. So that I watched the first episode. It was a nice. It was cool. I'm excited to see what drama happens this season because
Mm-hmm.
like the things from the last season kind of like picked up where the last season left off, but it was like tied up in a neat bow in the first episode. But it was like, okay, new drama is gonna start because it's always at the end of the first episode. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I want to see what happens. Um, there was a very not sci-fi, a thriller, Mission Impossible, James Bond thing that just happened in this episode. So long story short, Will Smith is in school and he calls Jeffrey to come through. And he's like looking for him. You know, the camera pans,
Mm-hmm.
and then when it pans back, he's just standing there. He's like, "You looking for me?" He's like, "Yeah, you doing all this spy stuff?" And I'm like, he's just there, like he just appears
Yeah.
after the camera pans. It's like, how did he just? That's just the very like fictional thing out of a grounded show.
Mm-hmm.
That just threw me off. That took me out of it. I was like, why did this happen? Like we know he's cool. We know Jeffrey has a past. We don't know
Yeah.
what. Like from the first season, you think he was in a gang back in England,
Mm-hmm.
but now it seems like is he part of like what's the it's not double O, what's the UK,
MI6.
yeah, he's like is he part of MI6, like because he's good at finding things out, but it
Mm-hmm.
seems like he was either part of a gang or he was in a gang and part of MI6, so
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's leading me up to. Again, if you watch the show, I think that's going to be one of your favorite characters, him and Jazz. I think
Mm-hmm.
those will be your two favorite characters. um but yeah, and then reading Magic Order. So finally, I got more into it. It's such a it's like what Harry Potter wishes it could be. Like it's
Careful. We're gonna get a bunch of Harry Potter fans killing us.
whatever. Um, for example, so everything is basically magic. There are different planes, there are different existence, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's this. So the thing about Magic Order, there's this family. I right now I'm just in the beginning, so I don't know everyone's names. But basically, someone died and passed the book. So let's say I'm your brother. I passed the book to you instead of to my daughter. So my daughter feels resentful. And she's
Okay.
like, nah, I want that book, blah, 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 this and that. So she starts killing off this magic order because the magic order is this group. They're basically the Justice League of the protecting the world from magic. Cool thing is that the Magic Order was a part of World War II. Like there were like Nazi magic people, so it was dope. And
Hmm.
that daughter of that daughter of mine in one of the part of the stories, she goes back in time and witnesses like they're gonna fight the Nazis, and then like her ancestors like, wait, you're from the future? Like, yeah, from like 2003. I was like, oh man, like it's really dope how they just interconnect things. But
Huh.
one of the scariest two things I want to say about this, and I don't know if this may interest you. I can't wait to see this to become a show. Is written by Mark Miller, so
Yeah.
Millerverse. Two dope things. So this character, her dad impregnated a woman because he's a womanizer. The woman was like, I'm gonna get an abortion. So she the in its infancy, still not even like I think 3 or 4 months in the belly, for some reason uses magic to escape the abortion. So
Sick. Sick.
it's
Love it.
so beast. She said F abortion, and what she did was impregnate the nurse. Yes. So the nurse decided, I'm just gonna keep this baby. And then
But like,
that
is this fetus conscious of the decision, or was it like a
it's a very
instinct
it's
kind
like
of
think of
thing?
it as like the force. Like the midi chlorians had something to do with it. Like that, think of it
Ah.
like that. So it was, but the thing is, think about it. As babies, we're all instinctual. So I think
Yeah.
that's what it was. So
Like to
magic was just an
save it, like
instinct.
self preservation. It was just like, all right, I'm gonna peace
I'm
out
just
over
gonna
here.
because I know I'm in danger,
Yeah.
do my thing. But the cool thing about this character, so she's telling her backstory. So when she's telling you see this, she's an escape artist. So that's so dope.
That's so funny, bro. That's so
So
good.
that's what I'm saying. This is what Harry Potter wishes it could be. It's so cool. Now, the scariest thing. Ooh, the scariest thing. Reading this, I was like, I can't. I would. My claustrophobia kicked in.
Hmm.
So the bad guy in this where I'm up to is killing off members of the Magic Order.
Okay.
I think the first or one of the first few that she kills off. This black guy is part of the Magic Order.
Hmm.
Also, they live double lives, so they live mundane lives. This guy's like a UPS, driver,
Mr. and
basically,
Mrs. Smith kind of deal. I'm
in a sense,
assuming.
yeah. So the woman goes up, they're across the street, and you see the guy carrying a box, but he notices them because you see it in one of the panels. It's the viewfinder of the camera.
Hmm.
So you just see this look, and he like looks over, and the guy takes a picture of him. So it's a magic item. It captured him. So when you know the film comes out, you see him like scared. He's trapped in this
Mm,
darkness, and the woman is talking to him. Is like, "Wow, look at your face, blah blah blah," and just crushes the thing, killing him. And it reminded me of Get Out because of like the sunken place.
yeah.
But I think it's the sunken place where you can't move. So that's where
Oh,
my
so it's like
claustrophobia
it's the
kicks in.
sleep paralysis place.
Yes, think of
That's
it
so
as like the Phantom
terrifying.
Zone, somewhat like the Phantom Zone, but from like Christopher Reeve's Phantom Zone, like that. And then I stopped reading, and I was like, I will not want to live in this universe. So two dope things, one super scary and one equally dope, because that escape artist is so dope. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
That and then playing Jedi. It just feels good to be a Jedi. That's all I was saying. Yo, I got the Claymore saber, and I feel like like a knight in shining armor. I love it, and that's I'll leave it at that.
That's awesome. Okay, for me watching um oh, me and the Missus crushed Queen Charlotte, the Bridgerton spinoff.
Mm,
We watched that this last week. We split it up into like 3 days. It was actually very well done. Um, for those that don't know, Bridgerton as well as Queen Charlotte is created by Shonda Rhimes, who also does like every show your girlfriend, mom, or wife ever talks about. So Grey's
yeah, he'll
Anatomy.
notably be yeah.
Grey's Anatomy is the biggest one. And fun fact, everyone, it got renewed for season 20, the
Yeah.
20th year of that freaking show. Um,
The character's not the character's not even there anymore. If you do another missed opportunity there, I'm just gonna take you off of your tangent. Why is it called Grey's Anatomy if they're not in the show? Just call it Anatomy at this point, or whatever.
so she's done
I
that.
don't care.
How to Get Away with Murder, Scandal, um, Rescue. Did she do Rescue Me? She did one of those rescue
Uh,
shows.
I think one of those firefighter
Yeah,
shows.
one of those like firefighter shows. Anyway, it's all the ones that the women love. That's her thing. She crushes it. Um, and Queen Charlotte was actually very well written. I loved the character development
Oh,
throughout.
and Private Practice, just one. That was the one that was
Private
sticking with me.
Practice was the other. Yep, yep. Um, Bridgerton originally, I think it got a lot of its fame from like the steamy moments, right, with the Duke and the Duchess. There's a lot of like sex scenes and stuff in season one. Season two, they pulled back a little bit. There was still some, but it wasn't as aggressive. Season and then this Queen Charlotte, it's very much story driven. I enjoyed it a lot. Even though I'm not a fan of like Bridgerton and all that, that's really my wife's deal. But I enjoyed it. It was very well written. A lot of history baked into it too. So it's a work of fiction, but they incorporated some historical bits. Um, Obviously, a love story through and through, and it was very good. It was very good, and the characters, like I said, written very well. So watch that. I'm watching The Office. I took a break from that '70s show. I took a break from SpongeBob, watching The Office, and oh my gosh, I'm watching One Piece. I feel like I'm watching something else. I said One Piece already
I know, but that's what I was just pointing to for the viewers to see
to see your shirt.
why I purposely wore the shirt knowing you were going to mention it.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah,
um, yeah, I feel like I saw movies or something, and I just can't remember now.
I feel the same way, but it's just not popping. Watch it come to me like later on.
Yeah, but okay. So I mean, those were like the big ones. Uh, and then reading, no, playing. Uh, I took a break from Fortnite the last couple days because I got both Tears of the Kingdom and Jedi Survivor. So I literally was just able to crack open Jedi like an hour or so ago. Like, you know, before the show. Like I finally had some time to sit down because I like I know the beginning of that game I wanted to devote an hour to easily.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm not gonna tell you where it takes place, but it's always in every video game. It's always the prologue praise, like the where you get your feet wet,
Yeah.
and you do want to spend some time because I did that and I got past that point. My friend was like, "Yeah, I'm still at this place," and I'm like, "Bro, you need to dedicate that time because it's like again, and it's what I told you last week or 2 weeks ago. Um, it's such a great thing that you get all your abilities. You'll notice that you'll get all your abilities from the last game. You're not going to be retreading stuff. But there's stuff that they add, and it's from the trailers, like the dash in the middle air. Like that's something
Yeah.
you will get. It wasn't in the first game, stuff like that. But you have everything what you learn.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's great that you like you said have all the powers and stuff because you start off feeling so strong and so good. And it's just
yeah,
like combat is flawless. The parry system is absolutely
it's even
beautiful.
more. It's even more tighter than it is. Yeah,
Yeah. And like, you know, the little finishers that you can do, chef's kiss. Um
yeah,
and I'm loving like I'm one that I like to look around like every corner and stuff to find.
yeah. You
So
definitely do that. Definitely do that.
I've already found a bunch of stuff, which is crazy because I'm only on the first level. So I ended my playthrough right well my session or whatever right at the first like mini boss, that droid, the security
Oh,
droid.
so wait, yeah, you cracked it open. So yeah, Coruscant.
Yeah. So I've only put in like 40 minutes maybe, you know,
Mm.
and then you know I stopped to do the show. But before that I you know I made the mistake of getting Tears of the Kingdom and Jedi at the
That's why I
same
didn't buy
time.
it. That's why I didn't buy
So
it.
I like you know, and Erica is still playing Hogwarts. So over the weekend,
That's why I didn't buy that either.
oh, I finished Hogwarts by the way. I
Oh,
finished that
oh,
last
nice.
week. Great ending. It's so
But it
fun.
seems like you went in and just went for story, like just to
Yeah, so I mean, I did a lot.
like
Like
you did a lot of stuff,
I
but
did a lot of stuff. I did like, you know, a bunch of side quests and things like that. I can continue to spend hours in there. Like there's so much to
yeah,
do. Erica is planning on 100%ing this game, and I explained to her what platinuming was, and she was like, "Oh, I think I could do that." And like went through the trophy list. She spent one play session, dude. She was like for 5 hours clearing out every icon on the map that was available. And then there's a point in the story where you go to another section that opens up the map further. So now she
mhm,
has that piece to go and like go through. But yeah, no, she's all about getting every inch of it. At the end, there's one post content thing that I didn't do because you would have to like hunt down these, you know, collectibles, and I was like, I'm okay. I got the end of the story and all that. It's fun. It's literally the ending of a Harry Potter movie. It's really
nice.
cool. Um, so that it was a fun ride. It was that game is just for like little things. I would give it like a 9.5, but it's so close to a 10. That game is
Yeah,
so
it,
beautiful.
I will definitely get my hands on it. But the thing is, it's like
It's
I
massive.
put the thing is I kind of put myself in a corner because I did Jedi.
Hmm.
I waited to get Jedi, but the thing is, I knew myself. If I got Hogwarts, I was gonna stop playing just to play Jedi. But then I'm like, I know I'm gonna finish Jedi and then get Tears of the Kingdom, which seems like Tears of the Kingdom is crazy. So,
Dude, it is like
oh, you
I,
cracked that too?
I'm gonna get into that. So
Okay,
because I had finished Hogwarts like Thursday or Friday, I made it a point to finish the game, and then I think it was Thursday, and then in the weekend, me and Erica played a couple times like during the day. I think we played Friday night and Saturday during the day. Anyway, while she was playing, like she was taking up the PS5, so I started playing Tears of the Kingdom. Now, and that's also a game where I can play like while I'm laying down or whatever. Like I played it last night. It is so there's no other experience besides your first time playing Breath of the Wild. You're in this, and I was over here kind of expecting a lot of stuff to carry over. It does not.
Yeah. So, and there was an article blurb about how like something carries over. It reads your like Breath of the Wild file.
Yeah, so
It's
it
nothing
reads.
major though.
It's your horse. So
Yeah.
whatever horses you have registered, and I've played Breath of the Wild like 3 or 4 times. So
I
the
remember all
horses
of
that
it.
I thought I had registered, I forgot I had started a new file, so it wasn't the same ones.
Got
Um,
it.
but yeah, nothing comes over. The game takes place like my best estimate and what I've read is like between 3 and 5 years after Breath of the Wild. Um, it's the same map, whole different experience. It's a
Yeah, I think it's
brand
just like it's
brand new
it.
game.
Yeah, I think what it, from my understanding, it's same map, but now you can go vertical.
Yeah, there's some parts where you can go vertical. You're in the
Most of
sky.
it is
They're called
vertical. Yeah.
sky islands, and you go and the beginning of the game, the whole tutorial, which I spent like that tutorial area. I spent like
Mad
3 or 4 hours on.
sounds like me in Spider-Man One. Just
I spent so long there,
screaming.
and Erica, like when I finished, I was like, "Babe, I'm just done with the tutorial," and she was like, "What?" So I've seen stuff where people are saying they're finishing this game in 80 something hours, and that's not 100%ing the game. That's
Yeah.
doing stuff as it comes,
Speaking of
and
that, so you can. It's like that's the average time, and but the speed runners out there again. This Ready
yeah,
Player
they broke
One
it in
guy.
90 minutes.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, but the first game too, someone did the same
Yeah,
thing. They
someone did the
just went
same thing.
straight to the end, and
You
they were like,
you literally you can. I saw how they did it. And you could do that. There's nothing
yeah.
holding you back.
It's
You
just what's crazy is that you have to be nice.
oh yeah,
Like you
yeah.
can't. You got to learn no whatever parry all those things block. You just got to be nice
Because
at it.
the little monsters when because you start off with 3 hearts, and they explain why all your equipment goes away and all that. They do a really good job. But you start off
Oh,
with
okay.
you start off with 3 hearts. The little monsters one shot you. So yeah, but they introduce Ganon's new form. They explain like how you lose everything. It all makes narrative sense. Um, they explain like your new abilities because you remember you used to use the Sheikah Slate. You don't have that anymore. You have a different thing, and your abilities don't even come from that thing. It comes from something else that you receive. So yeah, they explain it all. You get all your abilities as you go, and the abilities like breathe new life into the world too because it's such a different set of abilities from the ones that you were used to. So it's incredible, and I know I'm gonna spend like 100 hours on it. So
Oh yeah.
I was playing that, and because I had finished Hogwarts before I got Jedi and before I got Tears of the Kingdom, I started like an idiot, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
I think you can finish that quickly because compared to like when I was doing it, it seemed like I was taking forever, but it's just
Mhm.
because I wasn't playing. But
So
knowing your play, your with because you have a little not I don't want to say time. You have more time at your home. And you have
yeah,
access. You're closer to your game. You can get through it, and it's not a
so
hard game.
yeah, no, it's not a hard game. I'm actually playing on. They have 4 difficulties. I'm playing on the third, like the harder one, and there's some pieces that were bothering me, but um, it's a great game so far. I love it. It's very Insomniac. I played it and I'm into it now because it's like a fun actiony game. I don't have to think too hard about it, and it's quick pace, so I'm not like bogged down by playing it.
Exactly. That's why I feel
Not
like you
like I'm
can finish.
playing 3 massive games at the same time. It's I have
Yeah.
Zelda, which is huge. I have Ratchet and Clank, which is kind of like my if I don't want to think, I could play that game because it's just action. And then Jedi, which I just started today, which is gonna be a more like narrative, like compelling
It
story.
literally, yeah, exactly.
So I have those three on the dock that I've been playing, been juggling it, but I mean it's going good so far. Check in next week, see if I like lost my mind. But I think that's it, right? We did the weekly round. Yeah, I'm not playing anything else. So
Oh, question for you, because I know you're such a snob about this. Did you get it digitally or physically?
what do you think?
Oh no, I know the answer. I just want to hear you
I got
say
them
it.
both physically. What do you think? I'm crazy? I don't trust computers. Are you out of your mind? I have
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank is digital. I forgot I picked it up at a sale like forever ago for like $20, and it's just been sitting there
Well, that
because
makes sense.
because I had Hogwarts and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
because I
got
got
both of
I
those.
got Ratchet and Clank. Go ahead.
I I was gonna say I was disappointed with Jedi because the cover doesn't flip.
It doesn't. When it came in the mail, it was this is this plastic and then the disc, and then I was like,
I was like, dude, what the hell?
like it made me think. I was like, I should have just got it digitally,
That's
but
what it
I
made me
just I
feel.
think the thing about me is I guess back then pre-orders made sense. Pre-orders don't make sense anymore.
No,
Like, there's no need for it. Um,
unless you
I
want to
remember
spend $200 and get like a metal
like
case.
the yeah, like if you're trying to get those like bigger editions and like the statue, and you really love that thing.
Yeah.
Like I remember I can't remember the last time I did something like that was probably not just Halo, but Final Fantasy. I did it for Final Fantasy, like the new
Mm-hmm.
one coming out. I did it for that. I pre-ordered it, and it's the
Mm.
bigger edition because I love Final Fantasy. But like something like Star Wars, I didn't see a need to get the new ones because it was just like it was just gonna be the same thing, but the cover is different. It's like
Yeah.
something edition. It's like it's not a big deal. And then yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do anything crazy. And then for Switch games, it's just always been digital, except the Mario. The what's that? Is it Mario All Stars, right? Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, I got that digitally and physical, but the physical still wrapped because they don't make them anymore. So I was like, I'm gonna keep this.
I have the a physical copy up there, just waiting.
Don't you have two?
I might.
Because it's still wrapped, right?
I have my own physical copy, and then I have a wrapped one. I might have two up there. I don't even know.
That's probably
I
what
have
I
to.
remember. But yeah, I just because the thing is, it's like when I get to a point in my life where I can be out and about, because I don't trust myself to be in the train with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's trust myself and trust people around me.
Yeah.
With the portability of Switch, when I get to that point, I would like to have just all my games there, and not have to worry about cartridges. Um, it's just there.
Carrying
Depending on
cases
the
have the cartridge sleeves,
yeah,
sir.
I do have a carrying case, but I'm telling you, like depending on the game, um, or what game it is, what type of franchise, whatever I like. Like let's say you decide to throw Halo on the Switch, I'll probably like, yeah, I'll do it. But it's just always just gonna be digital and sitting in there. I did purchase the extra space just for it, so
Mm-hmm.
I can just have all my games. I'm not even maxed out on it, so
Yeah.
and
No, me neither.
they're never gonna drop the price for Zelda, but I'm just still gonna wait on it because I'm like, I'm not gonna spend money on something I'm not gonna be playing right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna focus on Jedi and get on Zelda. Maybe Hogwarts will come between now and Spider Man, but once Spider Man drops, it's that over life right now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
So
in the same boat. So I gotta. Well, I can have the Switch game and the PlayStation game at the same time, but I can't have multiple. Like I'm gonna have to finish off Ratchet and Clank and Jedi before I play Spider Man. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. We will stick behind this week to do another After Dark, um, mainly because Jay over there is leaving us for a different country next week, so we will not be recording an episode next week. We're gonna take the week off, and then come back the following. So as always, you can follow us on Twitter, The Average Jays, Instagram, The Average Jays Podcast. We have a TikTok, we have a YouTube where the streams go up and the After Darks go up as well as a separate segment. I always mess that up, but they do go up there. but the only place that you can catch it live and
Oh,
interact,
exactly. The real raw
the real
in the
raw,
moment.
is twitch.tv/the average J's. We do the episode, go for about an hour and a half, and then after that we stick on for about another half hour, 40 minutes to do J&J After Dark, where we are unfiltered, unedited. So thank you all for listening, and stick around for the After Dark. We'll talk to you in a bit.
Be safe, everyone.
Okay.